Hello, my name is ECO2023. My ID number is BME2207027, and we're going to present about macroeconomics. So I will start with the definition of inflation. Inflation is the rate at which prices increase over a specific time period is known as inflation. Inflation is often measured in broad terms, such as the general rise in prices or the rise in nation cost of living. Inflation affects all aspects of the economy, from consumer spending, business investment, and employment rates to government programs, tax policy, and interest rates. Understanding inflation is crucial to investing because inflation can reduce the value of investment returns.
How to calculate inflation? I will explain after I introduce myself. Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nur Irene Afika binti Muhammad Ramadan and my student number is BME 2207049 and I'm from DEN3B. Before we start the calculation, we should know about the formula to calculate inflation. The formula for calculate inflation, we start the consumer price index, which is CPI initial year minus CPI current year, and dividend by consumer price index, which is CPI current year. So after that, we have to multiply with 100. So before we start the calculation, we must do some research on the consumer price index CPI for the desired year. According to the question I received, the year I need to compute inflation in Malaysia was from 2020 to 2022. So here the calculation that I did. In 2020, the inflation was minus 1.15%. In 2021 was 2.49% inflation, and the last year according to the question 2022 is the percentage inflation was 3.33%. So that's the answer to calculate the inflation. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Siti Nur Amalina binti Muhammad Shardin and my ID number is BME2207017. I will answer the question of D. Using related diagrams, explain what is demand pull inflation and cost push inflation. Demand pull inflation occurs when the demand for goods and services increases more quickly than the supply of these goods or services. Demand pull inflation occurs when the overall demand rises while the supply either stays the same or declines. So this is the diagrams of demand pull inflations. I will show you how to read these diagrams. First, if AD1 to AD2 in recessionary stage, output increase and employment will decrease. There is no effect on price. Number 2, if AD3 to AD4, when there is less idle resources and a decrease in unemployment, price begins to rise slowly. Inflation is mild and creeping. Number 3, if AD5 to AD6 in full employment stage, industries cannot respond to changes in AD, those prices will begin to rise rapidly. Hence, the demand pull inflation is associated with a booming economy. Cost push when overall prices rise inflation as a result of rising costs for wages and raw materials. The phenomenon is referred to as cost push inflation, also referred to as cost push inflation. The total amount of production in the economy may decline as a result of higher manufacturing costs. Cost push inflation results the manufacturing price increases being passed on to consumers because the demand for goods has not altered. So this is the diagrams of cost push inflation. I will tell you about the diagrams. The diagrams shows that the economy is at the normal range of short-run aggregate supply, with the short-run aggregate supply curve sloping upwards. It is at the second phase of the Keynesian economy where full employment YF is yet to be achieved. The initial economy is at short-run aggregate supply 0, intersecting with AD aggregate demand 0 with the equilibrium price of P0 and real output of Y0. When there is a cost-push inflation due to the increases of the cost of production, the short-run aggregate supply curve will shift leftwards from short-run aggregate supply 0 to short-run aggregate supply 1, thus pushing the price level up to P1 and reducing the real output to Y1.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Animadia binti Cik Saki from DEN3B. Right now, I will proceed the presentation with one example how inflation impacts on the economic growth in Malaysia. After the group discussion, we've already decided to choose COVID-19 as the example how inflation impacts on the economic growth in Malaysia. There is actually two indicators of how COVID-19 has affected Malaysia's economy, which is the first one is high in unemployment rate, and the second one is a decline in the value of the Malaysian ringgit relative to the US dollar. Malaysia's unemployment rate before the COVID-19 pandemic, which is for 2019, is 3.3%, which translates to 508,200 unemployment citizens in Malaysia. Now I will pass to Miss Fatiha.
My name is Fatihah bin Kamil Kazi and my ID is BME2207062. So I will continue with Miss Aini with one example how inflation impact on economic growth in Malaysia. The employment rate is 3.2% in January 2013, but it will continue to rise until May 2030 when it will reach 5.3%. This is shown in table 1 in the next page. This is not good for a phenomenon because there is a negative trend in the labor demand. So this is the table that showing the employment rate in Malaysia.
Thank you, Miss Fatiha. Now I will proceed the presentation. In recent years, the gross domestic product growth rate has exceeded the inflation rate due to the expansionary economics and favorable investments. What is expansionary economics? Expansionary is used to control high employment rate during the recession. COVID-19 affected the global gross domestic product growth and inflation, and Malaysia was no exception. So this is our group members. Thank you for listening. That's all from us.